is a Think, Live, Be production.
3, 2, 1. Seeking the best, being my best. Do do da 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 da. Seeking the best, seeking the best, seeking the best, 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 best.
Welcome to Seeking the Best. This is the podcast for growth-minded real estate agents seeking clarity, focus, and a better way forward. I'm your host, Kathryn, and sitting across from me is my co-host, Patrick Vatika, our sound engineer, producer extraordinaire.
Good morning.
I love the title.
What?
Your title that I gave you. I mean, it is what you are, but it's just, it's so elaborate.
It is.
It's a mouthful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, good morning. It's bright and early.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, we record this from our house, and we installed over the last year a kind of almost a blackout shade.
Oh, yeah.
There's a window.
Yeah, otherwise you'd be blind right now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't do it. If I would just get the sun in my eyes, and we finally were like, what are we doing? Let's buy a blind for this window.
No, it's right outside where my computer is. So it's in the summertime, it gets real hot. So
we live in an old house. It's very inefficient.
Single pane windows.
And you know what? That's
eighth of an inch thick.
Interesting transition, because we're actually talking about efficiency today.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Yes. Not our house, although it has its own inefficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the topic of we've been talking about time and how important it is. And it is literally the best asset that you have, or the most wasted and least respected asset that you waste.
That's the way to say it, I think. Least respected.
Yeah. I think, we do not respect our own time at all. Actually, this is totally off topic, but not really. It's on topic. But I was just at family reunion recently, and there was a
which is the Keller Williams.
In case you don't know,
yeah.
Because I just was there. This is the annual conference for Keller Williams. There's 2 annual conferences, and this is the one that's usually in February. And because I was just there, I was so all consumed with family reunion that I just assumed that everybody knew what I was talking about. Mm-hmm. But yes, in case you don't know, it is our annual conference. And so I got back from that recently, and I have all my notes and everything. And one of the keynote speaker was Jay Shetty. And if you don't know who he is, just go Google him. I'm not going to give his bio. But one of the things he said that I wrote down is we never cancel a meeting with someone else, but we don't even schedule one with ourselves. I just thought that was poignant. How often, we just run around to other people's schedules. And he didn't specifically mean that you are run by your client's schedule, but that is what happens in real estate. He just meant you're not scheduling time to think and reflect for yourself and look at your own plans and goals. But we have this hustle culture in this industry. And sometimes that means I'm just going to run and go open the door. And listen, I still struggle with this today.
You do, but not nearly what it was in the beginning.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
not even you would never not even know that it was the same person.
Oh, for sure. I'm just saying,
you say you struggle with it as if you drop everything and run out and show a property. You don't do that. You've got systems and stuff in place and explain to people how things work, so that rarely happens. Every once in a while, there's somebody calls out of the blue that's a past client that's engaged in the VIP program and they're like, hey, we want to think about buying an investment property, and we saw this one. Can you show it to us? And it's like you might drop something and go and show them that property because it's around the corner and who they are and stuff. But you don't get a phone call out of the blue from somebody who just wants to see this one house, right? And then I'm not I just want to see this one house. Will you open the door for me? And you don't do that.
No, I agree. All I meant by that was that this has been a struggle, because if you're in this business, there's one of two things. One is that you already have a high sense of urgency, and that's what will make you successful. Because you're able to move quickly and adapt through things. And or the other part is that you buy into this culture of hustle, grit, and you think that is what's going to make you successful.
Yeah.
and I hear myself saying that, but these are two different things. Well, having a high sense of urgency and being able to move quickly is not the same thing as hustle culture, where you just like run around without aim so that you can push yourself. And
well, you have to have the systems. The systems are what make the hustle make sense and make all of that work, right? So relating it to waiting tables, you want all of your people at all of your different tables to get what they want, get their food on time, all of those things. But you don't just run from one to the next to the next to the next. There's a system in place that you do things in a certain order, in a certain way, so that you're not running around only able to take care of 2 tables instead of taking care of and doing it poorly versus taking care of 6 tables and doing it efficiently. There's different ways to do that, and it's managing your time and following the systems. So when you drop all the systems and you just run around, I'm going to show this house and this person wants dragging me over here, you can't possibly be efficient or do what you're supposed to be doing to help them, you know?
Yeah, I was just, as you were saying that, I was thinking about like, it is such a good analogy of waiting tables, because you have to manage these people's like what order do you need to do things in? Like you got to go to the table and greet them.
Right. For people who've never waited tables before and don't know, it's like I get sat and then I take an order from a table. And then I get sat again. Do I go put the first order in, or do I go to the next table and take their order? And then when do I bring? So that's kind of what we're talking about. And so you don't just, those people need something, I'm going to run over there, and that person needs something, because if you do that and you just run around, you get weeded. You don't know what to do next. You're not using the systems to keep things organized, and things become a mess. And that this is just an expanded higher end version of that. So you do have to follow those systems to be efficient.
Well, but so just on that analogy, when you get hired to be a server, you are trained on how to do that. Like in what order do you do things, and what happens when you're busy? You're trained. When you get into real estate, the training is about one of two things. It's about finding business, or it's about writing contracts.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of training around how to manage people in the different stages.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of realizing that there's not a lot of training around just like managing your pipeline of people. You've got somebody you just met with that wants to buy a house, but they haven't even gotten pre-approved, all the way to somebody who's under contract and closing tomorrow. Or you've got a seller who's getting their house ready for sale, all the way to they're moving tomorrow and it's a back-to-back closing. All of these things require different attention, and you've got to be able to manage them all. And which do you do first, and all of these things. And so this is a little bit off topic now, but the point is that nobody really tells you how to manage all that. You just kind of learn and figure it out. And so oftentimes you could be doing.
It's why some people we've seen it, right? A newer agent, they've got 2 buyers, and it takes up their entire day, their entire week. And they're running around. It's like, you got 2 buyers. What do you mean? You didn't have time to make calls. You've got 2 buyers, right? And then you see agents who have systems in place, know how to organize their time, and they can handle 12 buyers and 6 listings. And it's like, well, how is that possible? How can that person do that? It's not because they know what's in it. They know the contract. That's not what it is, right? It's knowing how to efficiently schedule their time so that they're not running around.
Yeah. I mean, it is back to what the topic I wanted to talk about is efficiency, because within time, when we talk about managing time, you can do all of the time blocking and batching and goal setting and do all the things right and protect your time. But if you're not efficient with it, then it's not going to matter. And here's what I mean. Like if you don't practice to get better and faster at things, then if you block out an hour to write a contract and it takes you an hour and a half, you're never going to get any better if you allow that to keep happening. Does that make sense?
Well, I think you already went one step above and beyond, which is you said, I'm giving myself an hour to do this. I think a lot of people don't think about that at all.
Well,
like they just start, and when it's done, it's done. It's why that people fill up their day with 2 buyers. Well, because you've given yourself unlimited amount of time to just work on that. So it takes that long. If you said, I'm going to give myself until 2:00 to get X, Y, Z and finished, guess what? You would have X, Y, and Z finished. But if you say, I guess I'm just going to work on this today, it's going to take you all day.
Yeah. Well, what we're describing is what's called Parkinson's law, where it's the work expands to fill the time allowed.
Right.
And if you've ever taken bold, that's a Keller Williams class.
It's a
bold law. Like,
yeah, I mean, we see people do it all the time. Do
you remember? Okay. So at one point I was working with an investor and they were writing offers on all kinds of properties.
Yeah. That was way back when the low point in the market.
Yes.
When
and so
everything was bank owned and foreclosed, and there were people, they were just throwing offers at everything.
We weren't going to see any of the properties. Yeah. It was just write offer. And I must have written, and I'm not exaggerating, I must have written 200 offers.
Yeah.
And I think we closed at that time. I had sort of like a business partner, and she also wrote an equal amount. Like we divvied it up, and I think we closed 30 deals.
Yeah.
So 10% of less than 10% of those got accepted and closed. And
you had no time to do anything but those.
So a lot of lessons learned. Let's not talk about any of that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that next season. Yeah. Actually, we'll probably get into that with what we're going to talk about. But the point of that story is that I wrote 200 offers one summer.
Oh yeah. You got real good at it, real fast and efficient. And
these were like, if you are new to real estate,
those are reps,
right?
Yeah.
If you're new to real estate, our contracts, and I think this is not unique to Florida, like they're pretty long, they're like 12 pages plus addenda. But this was back in the day where there were bank owned and short sales. And so you could have an entire other contract that had to be filled out. So you had the state of Florida contract that we use, and then the bank contract. And so it took a long time to write these offers. Definitely not worth the time spent. But the point is, because of that experience, ended up getting a lot of reps in. And so I'm really fast now with writing an offer. Like it's super, super quick.
Yeah. It takes her 20, 30 minutes at the most.
I mean, that would include like having
everything.
The conversation with the person about what they want the offer to look like.
And then sending it and
writing it. Yeah. Writing it up in DocuSign, and then also drafting. I prepare a second email that outlines what the people are signing so that they can see that, like,
it's not just, you're not just sending a DocuSign link.
Right. The DocuSign. Hold on. Let me just go down a rabbit hole for a moment.
Jeez, I wasn't ready for that.
Mr. Rabbit, wait!
This is more of a vent.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think I have anything for that.
There's not a vent sound effect.
Time is money. Money is power. Power is pizza. Pizza is knowledge. Let's go.
Okay. So this is just a pet peeve of mine. When somebody sends me a DocuSign or .loop email and they don't make the subject different, like they don't update the subject. So what it says is whatever addenda, like it could say lead-based paint disclosure, Florida Realtor FR 123 form or whatever. Instead of changing the subject to offer package for you to review and the street address.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this person sending me? Like, would you click on that?
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, it looks like spam. It looks like...
And you would, because it's from your realtor. But I mean, come on. Just like take the extra step and title the subject with what it is that they're signing.
Right.
That's it. That's my rant. Okay.
Good.
But point is, that 20 minutes is conversation, write-up offer, draft email that also coincides with the offer so that they understand what documents I've sent to them and where to find the terms that we filled in. Maximum time allowed 30 minutes. I'm not going to spend more than 30 minutes on that. And that is part of those reps, is that I got fast at writing it. But you don't have to have an investor that wants you to write 200 offers in the course of 2 months to get good at something. But my question, I suppose, is like, are you practicing? What are the things that you have to do repeatedly that you could practice and get faster? Like, there are things that we do every single day, like schedule a showing. That should not take a really long time, even if you're creating like a tour, because sometimes you're just scheduling one property. And that's super quick, right? But sometimes you're scheduling 4 or 5 homes and you have to route out how are we going to get there? How much time? And you should spend a little time on that to make sure that you're on time to the places that you're going. Mm-hmm. But this does not have to be a lengthy thing. This is like a 15-minute process. But how can you get better at these repeatable things if you're not really busy right now? Go practice them. And I'm about to sneeze, so we might have to cut that out. Or I'm not going to. Maybe it'll go away.
Okay.
It could come out at any moment. Okay. But I've just been thinking about that a lot. Like, just because you don't have 10 people that you're working with doesn't mean that you can't practice writing offers. You want to get really good at something. What is that? It's the whole 10,000 hours thing.
Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours.
Yeah. Are you just going to wait for business to happen so that you have the 10,000 hours?
Yeah, I mean,
you could.
Yeah. But that's why, it takes most people, and rightfully so, it takes years and years to gain the experience to be able to even do some of the things that we talk about here in time management.
Yeah.
Right. Because you just don't have the reps to be able to do it.
Well, so, and then just to go a little bit off track, but there's a difference between efficiency and effectiveness. And
what do you mean by that?
Well, you can be really efficient at scheduling showings or really efficient at writing offers. But if you don't have any business to do, then that's not really useful either. So
you mean, I was very efficient in my showings this week because I don't have any buyers.
I'm super efficient because I didn't actually spend any time on it. So, I mean, you have to use your time with effectiveness. There has to be a result, an outcome from the time that you're spending, even if you're getting really good at something. But these are things like, for example, lead generation. I've worked with enough newer agents where they spend a really long time on the phone with people. Like when somebody finally answers the phone,
they're so excited.
And I get that.
Mm-hmm. And you don't want to they don't want to lose them.
Yeah.
Right. So you got them on the phone and it's like, let me tell you everything about me and everything about, and I'm going to answer every question that you have because I'm trying to build rapport.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a difference though between, are you being effective or efficient? In that case, what we're just describing is neither, probably, because if you're just chatting, you're not really being effective either. But I understand what happens is like you get excited in the moment and then you let that Parkinson's law thing happen by default, where you just allow it to fill whatever space there is. This can also happen with showings too.
And then they're like, and then you talk about that, what they're interested in. Right. And you hang up the phone, and instead of picking up the phone and calling the next person, what do? you go onto MLS and you start looking to send them houses, right?
Oh, don't get me started on
So
that.
that's not being efficient, right? What you're supposed to do is hang up the phone and then call the next person, but that's not what people do, right? What are you looking at me like?
No, you're right. Like that's both of those problems. Like that's not an effective way to handle the call, and it's inefficient too.
But you think it's efficient, and you think it's what you should be doing because this is a lead that I just talked to. All that other stuff can wait. Right. Yeah. That's what goes through your head, but that's not being efficient. Being efficient is calling the next person and the next person, blocking your time, following the systems.
Yeah.
That's what makes you efficient.
So
the example I just gave is the person who runs from table to table, bringing ketchup over here, taking an order, filling up a water, running around. It's how you handle 2 tables and you're weeded versus handling 10 tables and giving them the service that they expect. Right.
Yeah. Well, so sorry, I'm just still imagining, like, when you're talking about something and you're imagining like a specific person doing the thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm just imagining a team member doing exactly what we're describing, a past team member, getting off the phone and then immediately like, okay, let me find them this house. You haven't set an appointment. You haven't had a consultation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Inefficient, ineffective, not going to lead to the results you're seeking.
You shouldn't.
But it feels like busy.
And you shouldn't be sending for this is a side note, you shouldn't be sending houses to people that you haven't sat down and had a consultation with.
Yeah.
What you're supposed to do is set the appointment during that call, not say, oh yeah, I'll send you some stuff.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because I think sometimes we forget what the outcome is supposed to be.
Yeah.
If you don't know what the outcome of activities that you're doing.
100%. Like, what were those calls? What were they for? They were to set an appointment, right?
I'm just going to run through some. This wasn't part of my little idea, but when you're outbound calling, the purpose is to either set an appointment or get enough information to, qualify them as a nurturer that you would continue to follow up with. When you're getting inbound calls and following up on leads, your goal is to set an appointment. When you're doing open houses or any kind of event activity where you're out in the field and you're meeting people, your goal is to gather their contact information. That's it. That's all you're there for. When you're doing a market analysis for somebody, your goal is to get them to make a decision about making an offer or get them to make a decision so that you can sign paperwork. Like there's always a result from whatever activity you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think keeping that in mind,
or even knowing that that's what it is. Like you aren't just out there talking to people randomly, doing random things, waiting for something to happen. Like there is a goal in mind of each one of these tasks.
Yeah.
And to remember what those are versus, well, I'm just going to call a bunch of people and cross my fingers and hope something happens.
Well, even like, right? I just came back from family reunion and there was a whole section on social media, and that's obviously a big part of our industry now. It's a really easy way to get in front of people. And what's the purpose, right?
That is the number one key, right? Because I'm seeing it way more now than just a few years ago. This social media push. I'm going to be on TikTok and I'm going to put videos out of my open houses, and I'm going to go and I'm going to do, restaurant reviews, and I'm all of these things. And it's like, well, what's the point? Well, is it just to say, hey, don't forget about me, I'm a realtor? Like, is that what you're doing? Because that basically what that is a billboard. And you know how many people have to look at a billboard for you to get a lead off of it?
Well, right? I do think that's a good point.
There's a passiveness to it. But if you think that posting something on Instagram is going to make your phone ring, you're going to have a lot of work to do.
Well, I think that's the point of that there is that a lot of times we talk about social media as brand awareness, but you don't have a big enough brand and audience for that to work in that way. So when you are posting,
If you're
or
in front of
engaging.
millions of people, tens of thousands of people that are engaged with you, then that can work. So you see people who are successful standing on stage saying, I built my whole business off of YouTube videos. And it's like, well, they got in at the right time. And you go and you look and it's like they've got, 60,000 followers. And you're like, okay, I see how that when they say they put out videos and they get leads from that, that's why. But if you've got a Facebook page, you got 1,000 friends on there, most of them don't live in town, you post something, it's like your pool isn't large enough.
Well, it's not large enough for brand awareness to just work.
Right.
Like, so you have to, so what's the outcome you're looking for? And who's the audience, and are you posting for them? Are you providing some sort of value to them so that when they see it, they would maybe be interested in reaching out?
Right.
And so you could spend hours and hours and hours putting together content, and you could even be really efficient at it. Like, okay, I'm going to batch this out. I'm going to do this in an hour block. I'm going to make all my month-long content. And you could be super efficient. But if the message isn't to the right audience and it doesn't have call to action and all those things, and it wasn't effective, like they work hand in hand. So it's not always just about getting faster, but it's about making sure that you know what you're trying to accomplish, but then improving your time spent on it. Mm-hmm. Is how you really... And
dialing in who it's for even further.
Yeah.
Right. Both. Yeah. And so we're not saying don't do social media stuff.
No, I mean,
by any means.
100% you have to nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. But understand what it is and how much time you're spending doing it.
Well, what is the...
That's not lead generation, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well...
when you're doing your lead gen in the morning...
Well, there's so I mean,
I know. We're getting way off track.
Well, and it's semantics. It's like, could it generate leads? Yes. If you're reaching the right people and saying the right things and like engaging and stuff, it can be. But are you spending the time on the activity in direct proportion to the results you're getting?
That's perfect. Worded perfectly. Good job.
Maybe that's a good place to take a break.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a break.
If you're enjoying this episode and want more ways to seek your best, not just in your business, but in how you spend your time and energy, there are a few easy places to connect with us beyond the podcast.
Over on YouTube, you can find us at Seeking the Best Pod. We share full episodes of the show, short coaching clips, reviews of real estate products, and tips on building a real estate business that actually works in real life. We post videos on Thursday mornings.
Or find us on Instagram at On Seeking the Best. There we post behind the scene moments, short practical tips, and some of the real unfiltered stuff that doesn't always make it into the show.
And if you're looking for episode supplements like the Candy Bag, where Kat posts more in-depth ideas that we discuss on the episodes, head to onseekingthebest.com. You can learn more about us, buy some Seeking the Best merch, or send us a question that we'll answer on the show.
However you connect with us, thanks for being here and keep seeking your best.
And we're back.
Okay, so we're talking efficiency and basically just like time is so valuable. It's all we have. Yes, we have expertise, we have knowledge, all of those things, but somebody who uses their time really well can outperform somebody who has more knowledge. I can tell you that right now. So how do we get faster and better at these repeatable jobs that we do so that we can handle more at the same time? And I think that besides my story of being sort of forced into a situation where I've got to get faster because I've got so many offers that I have to write that I have to do them faster, they won't get submitted in time. Besides being forced into that kind of situation, you do have the opportunity to work on yourself and improve in these areas. So like, I think lead generation is one of the easier ones to identify. I've got like a little efficiency chart. So if you're making calls to people, and this could be outbound, like you're prospecting, or it could be follow-ups. It doesn't really matter. Let's say you block a time out for the day and you're going to lead generate for 3 hours, which is kind of what they say you should do, right? First thing in the morning, eat that frog, do your lead generation. And so if your contacts per hour is 1 to 4, meaning you talk to 1 to 4 people in an hour of making calls, that's a low efficiency rating. Medium is 5 to 7, high is 8 to 10. So if you did nothing else but work on improving that for a bit, and that would be like, there's 2 reasons I think you would have low efficiency. Maybe it's the numbers you're calling. Maybe you what are the resources you're using, right? Like if you're buying numbers, maybe the list isn't very accurate. So try a different company. Or if you want to improve your efficiency, call more of your sphere past clients, because those people are more likely to pick up. So you're going to have a higher efficiency rating. But what you could, the more probable answer is that you are taking too much time on the phone with the few people that do answer, or you're taking forever to dial. And so when you talk to one person in an hour, what's going to end up happening? If you block out 3 hours for lead gen, you're going to talk to 3 people. Well, we say like the average conversion to appointment just across lead sources, just real simple, basic average is 5%. So how many days do you have to talk to people before you would actually set an appointment if you are at a low efficiency on contacts? If you made 3 contacts a day and you need 20, that's a really long time before you're setting an appointment, right? So this is why, well, let me just pause and say, this is why tracking is so important. And I know a lot of, like if you're brand new, you don't even know what to track. So I'll tell you, if you're brand new, I'll tell you what to track. But if you're looking to grow and develop, you want to sell more houses, these are the things you've got to work at. Because listen, like writing a faster offer is great, and you can definitely practice and improve on the time it takes to do that. But that actually doesn't lead to more sales initially. Like it can help over time because you get busy, but you can also leverage that, right? You can leverage somebody doing offer writing for you. So the things that you really want to improve on are how many conversations you can have in the time that you have set aside for doing that, so that you can have more conversations leads to more appointments leads to ultimately more sales, right? I lost my little graph. Hold on, let me go back. If you're new though, or maybe you're not new, but you still don't know what to track, you want to be tracking how many dials, and I'll describe what dials mean in my world. Dials, contacts, set appointments, held appointments, meaning you actually went on them, taken clients, pending contracts, and closed units. You'd also track GCI, like your gross commission income, compensation, and expenses and stuff. But like the what we're talking about is efficiency with contacts to appointments. Those are the things that drive the results that you're seeking. So if you do nothing else but just try to improve those 2 numbers,
yeah, the other stuff will improve on its own.
It will, because you'll have more appointments, which means
Right.
you'll get better at presenting.
Right.
You'll get better at presenting, which means you'll get more clients taken, which means you'll have more contracts to write, which means you'll get better at writing those contracts.
Right.
So it always is like, if you think about what you're trying to do, you can almost always work it back to just having more conversations.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good point, is saying conversations, right? Because we're not talking about, well, it's easy for you to say you've got a giant database and been doing this for 20 years. So look at your sphere. You could call all day, blah, 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 blah. Look at all those leads you've got. Yeah, you can call. Who am I? I just started 6 months ago. I've got a list of 40 people. Okay, well, that's the problem, right? Is I think a lot of times when it comes to this kind of stuff, people, oh, they know I'm an agent, or, oh, they don't have any money. And you've already we're talking about conversations with people. You have to create your sphere, right? 200 people. Step 1, create that sphere of 200 people, and then be vigilant in calling and having conversations, because I got news for you. those reps of having those conversations make it easier down the road when you're sitting in an open house to know your stuff, right? To be able to have those conversations, get used to it. You don't just go in cold. It's like, have the conversation, start calling that sphere, those people. It doesn't matter if they don't have any money. It's not about them. It's about the 200 people they know. Start making those calls to those people and get better at it and get faster at it and get used to it. That is your engine. And that is where everything, like Kathryn said, you're not going to get good at writing contracts if you don't start writing contracts. And the way to start writing contracts is to start showing properties to people. And the way you start showing properties to people is by making calls. It all kind of stems from this one thing. You'll get better at all of it, but you have to make the calls.
So, with conversations with people, remember 1 to 4 contacts per hour is considered a low efficiency rating. And I find that with all agents that I've worked with and in productivity coaching and stuff, that's where most people fall.
Yeah.
Is like, they're probably at like 1 to 4 per hour. So at the end of the week, it's like you maybe talk to
20 people.
Not even.
Maybe.
And it's
but you're
like,
supposed to be talking to that many people a day.
And so it's kind of, I don't want to say it's sad because I'm never perfect at lead generation. Like I'm never.
It's hard. It's hard. Everything about this is hard. Nobody wants to do it. Why would you? I can sit here and say this. I'm not a real estate agent, so I don't have to make the calls, right? So I can just make the calls. But it's hard. That's part of the deal. That's the thing. Everybody can cash a check. That part's easy, right? It's putting up the work up front in order to get to that level of where, it's like the reality is that if you're in the business for 15 years and you're doing well, you probably don't have to make 20 calls a day. You can, and you'll do well and stuff, and you'll do even better. But after a lot of time, this is a little secret. It's like the phone will start ringing. Well, so, and you'll be creating all kinds of relationships with past clients and stuff, and you won't have to make the calls. But in the beginning, the stronger you make it, the better you make it. I
100%
don't tell anyone I said that, because that's not the way. But I've been around and watching enough to know that you're in the business for 15 years and you're successful. The phone kind of rings sometimes by itself.
And if you've ever attended Bold, that's like the come list maze. And those are like, they're not miracles. You worked for them. You did all the pre-work over the years that it took to build and attract people.
But that's what, if you're a listener now and you're a newer agent, that's what you're doing now, is so that in 10 years, that phone, it just rings.
And listen, it's not ringing off the hook, but yes.
But we won't get into specifics, but in the last 4 days, you've had like 4 things come in, and it was all the phone ringing.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's because of all the work.
Of course. I'm not saying that you didn't do anything. I'm just saying.
But that's the point.
It can change like overnight. Like as you do this, you're going to be calling and calling and calling. And then all of a sudden one morning, you're just going to get a phone call, and then you're going to get another one and another one. But if you don't do the work now, that will never happen. And you'll be 55 years old, running around, schlubbing signs all over the place, not knowing where the next check's coming from. Right?
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yes, you are correct. The longer you do this, just like any other business, the more established you become, the easier it is to attract people and receive more inbound things. You still have to follow up with those people though. Like just as an example, I got, sometimes people will reach out and say, I referred you to so-and-so. And I'm like, great. Like, let me get their information.
Oh, right.
So I can
That's a really good point. Cause that does happen, right? I have a friend who, is thinking about, buying a house, and I gave them your information.
Yeah. So I'm always trying to get.
So what do you say as a new agent when somebody says that? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then you wait for them to call and they never call, right? So what is Kat learned that a long time ago is you don't wait for them to call. You get their information. You call them.
Yeah. Well, again, what's the purpose of all of the outbound calls you make to a sphere every day? Most of it is looking for referrals, not actually for the sphere to do business.
Right.
And so so every day when you're doing these outbound calls and you're trying to increase your efficiency so you talk to more people, it's to attract the referrals. So then you do get the call from the person who says, hey, I did actually just, or a text message, I did just give your name out to so-and-so. And then you're like,
It's exactly what you want.
It's exactly what you want. And then you've got to train them though to give you the person's information and say like, hey, thank you so much for thinking of me. What's their name and number? I can reach out and make sure they're taken care of right away. Or if you're having like an actual back and forth conversation and they say, well, I think so-and-so might be thinking of moving. I'll ask, say, great. Is there, if you wouldn't mind, let me grab their information and
I'll give them a call.
Because what I find is that, you give them my information, they'll lose it. And then when they actually need it, they won't have it. So I can reach out to them, make sure they're taken care of.
They say they're interested in buying a house and they get your information, but it's Thursday. And then on Saturday, they go to an open house and now they have an agent.
Yeah.
Right. So
let me pause real quick. This is maybe a rabbit hole. You don't have to play the little song.
Okay.
You were like ready to do it. But just like a little tip, you'll hear when I just did that, I said, hey, if you wouldn't mind, I am softer with my asks with my sphere or past clients. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable.
Ever. Yeah.
Never want them to feel uncomfortable because I don't want them to not do another referral because I pushed too hard to this first time trying to get the contact info. So I'm more soft ask with those people like, hey, if you wouldn't mind, or, if they wouldn't mind, like I'll go ahead and take their information. I'll reach out. When you're talking to somebody you don't know and there's nothing to lose.
Right.
So like with somebody random or for sale by owner expired, somebody met at an open house, the worst case scenario is they say no.
Yeah.
So why not just say, what's your phone number?
Yeah. Be super direct.
Yeah. Like, or let's get together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I just thought that was worth pointing out.
Yeah, because and also it's easier to do a soft ask with your sphere because you've already earned their trust.
Yeah.
So they know you, so you don't have to be quite as forceful. They know that Kathryn's not going to badger this person.
Yeah.
Right. Or whatever. And it's like, and sometimes they're like, I don't feel comfortable with giving out.
Listen,
blah,
and
blah,
I
blah.
totally get that.
Perfectly fine.
I totally get that. Like if I refer somebody to, I don't know, let's just say a contractor. I don't usually send to the contractor their information. I give the contractor's information to them. Now, I also have not been trained by the contractor to do it that way.
Right.
And
true, because we've all worked with contractors. They are not the business side of the business isn't usually,
So, but the point is like, I understand that and I don't ever want to make anyone feel uncomfortable with that.
Right. Of course.
But the point is you get to attract things after doing a lot of outbound calls and reach outs, meaning like open houses and any way you can get in front of people, then you start to attract those calls. But you still need to follow up with those people. So that still counts as your contacts per hour. So like, how are you improving having more conversations? So I just said, there's number one is you might have a bad list if you're doing outbound prospecting and the numbers aren't connecting, so you can't make the contacts. We'll start mixing in some sphere or people that will definitely answer the phone or go get better numbers, right? Try a different system. The other thing is you might be getting on the phone with people and spending too much time with them. This is the second way that you'd be inefficient with calling and these outbound attempts to connect with people.
How long should those calls be? Like once you talk to somebody, you get them on the phone, like I know it's going to be different from call to call depending on who they are, but on average, like when you're doing it, what are you looking for?
I don't know that there's a specific set number. I mean, maybe I'm sure somebody somewhere has tracked this, but if I'm trying to be highly efficient, so I said the low efficiency is 1 to 4. So high efficiency is
like 8.
8 to 10. So if I'm going to talk to, let's say 10 people an hour,
right. It's 6 minutes.
it needs to be 6 minutes. And that doesn't include dialing all the other people that it took to get. So, you know,
so
less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes.
If you're going to be efficient with it.
So could you have
can you imagine
but think about that. That's great though. Right. So think about that as when you're out there and you're dialing, right? An efficient person, an efficient agent is doing, these conversations are 3 to 5 minutes long. So you're calling your sphere. You're not on the phone for 30 minutes. It's 3 to 5. So how does that happen? How does 3 to 5? Well, you have to have a point. What is the point of the call? Right? What is it that I'm doing and stuff? Because if you're like, oh, I don't want to do the calls. The reason you don't want to do the calls is because you don't want to be on the phone for 30 minutes with somebody. Well, good, because you're not supposed to be. It's 3 to 5 minutes. Hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. I just wanted to touch base, run your script, you know, of what it is. And all of a sudden it becomes a lot easier in your head to wrestle with, because if you go into it knowing that, look, if I get this person on the phone, it's going to be a 3-minute conversation and I'm going to follow the script and we're going to say goodbye and that's it. It's not going to be a 30-minute thing.
So I will come back to, will you remind me to come back to that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you have 5-minute conversations or less? Like, let's come back to that. But what I was going through was the reasons why you wouldn't be efficient with these conversations is you've got bad numbers. So you're not making enough contacts per hour. You, so call your sphere, they'll pick up. You're spending too much time on the phone with the people. So you can't talk to as many people. And then I think the third thing would be, well, shoot. I forgot what the third thing was because you went off on a tangent. Okay, maybe I'll think of that in a minute.
Okay.
No, I do not have notes, you guys. There's no outline here.
No, not today.
Darn it, I really had a third thing. Well, maybe we'll cut this part out.
No, we don't cut stuff out. That's what makes it our show. Besides, I don't want to do it. Well, let's go back to what I was saying then and see, and maybe you'll come back around to it.
Well, so what's the purpose of the call? We said the purpose of the call is referral or appointment. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you're calling your sphere, especially if you haven't called them in a long time and you're like you're either new and you're building your sphere, or you're like, it's February or whatever month this is, March. I don't know what month it is anymore.
This will be March.
This is March. It is actually March. I don't know what I'm talking about. And you're like gung ho. All right, I'm going to finally make these calls, and you haven't talked to these people in a while.
Yeah.
You start to get into rapport building, which is great, and you want that, but an easy like kind of tweak to these calls is you can just start it with, hey, Patrick, this is a business call, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And, you know, just like anything else, it will get faster. Well, right. So you're going to
now don't let too much time lapse before you call them again.
Right.
But the other thing is you can start it with letting them know it's a business call, because then they understand that you're making business calls. So you got to move to the next call. But even if you don't like using that, because some people will be like, well, I don't want to say it's a business call, blah, blah, blah. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. When you find that you've gotten into the conversation and you've asked a few questions about how things are going in life, and we're specifically talking about sphere, and you've asked a few questions and like, how's it going? How are the kids? Blah, blah, blah. And you've gotten a few of those rapport, family, occupation, recreation, dreams sorted out. Then if it feels like there's more conversation to be had, just say, hey, you know what? I'd really like to catch up more. Could I give you a call back later tonight, or could we get together for coffee or whatever? Like, it's okay to end a call.
And it's also
so that you can keep within your boundary.
100%.
So that at the end of the day, you get to track the key, most important metric of your business, which is how many conversations did I have? Because if you only had one, even if it was a great conversation.
And in that conversation, don't forget what that conversation is what part of what that is said, which is, do you or anyone you know interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate, right? And however that's going to be said, and then a little tag on the end of, I'm going to, if it's okay with you, I'm going to give you a call in a few weeks and see if you've come across anybody or anything like that, whatever the script is. So now when you call back next month, you've already set the plan up that you're going to be calling them and asking them if they know anybody who's interested in buying or selling a house. And then that just compounds on itself every time. And then those conversations get shorter. They're expected. They know what it is that you want. And then they start to pay attention and go, oh, I know that Kathryn's going to be calling me in a couple weeks. I just heard the word real estate from somebody. I'm going to make a note of that, right? Or whatever it is. And then it gets faster and faster. Then all of a sudden, guess what? It's 15 years later and you're getting a referral call from them saying, hey, I've got somebody for you.
I thought of the third thing.
Okay. Well, I think good, because I think we finished up the second.
So the third thing is it's still in line with your spending too much time on a call, but it's different. So there's when you're calling people, you might have a longer conversation because there's things to actually talk about besides business, right? So we just talked about that. How do you wrap that conversation up? You either tell them in advance that it's business, or you get to a point where you can say, gosh, I didn't realize how much stuff we needed to catch up on. Let's grab coffee sometime, whatever. And then whatever. And then the other way, though, that you stay on the phone too long is like when you call leads and you don't stick to a script. So if you want to get more efficient with your conversations, that's what scripts and dialogues do.
Well, when you're calling a lead, well, it goes back to the first thing. What's the point?
Well, the point is to set an appointment,
right?
But you could let them just ramble on for an hour telling you their life story.
Or you're getting into the minutia of things that you're supposed to be doing at the appointment.
That's what I was getting to. Stop jumping ahead. The point is like, so let's talk about a buyer lead for a moment. What do buyers tend to want to tell you on the phone? They want to tell you what they want in a house. They start telling you like, well, I want a 3-2. I want it to be in this school zone, blah, 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 blah. That's great. That's exactly what we're going to talk about in our appointment. We're going to go over exactly what you want in a house. If I had $1 for every time I heard Kathryn say, that's exactly why we should meet. I wish you had $1 for every time too.
Me too.
But yes, like that's exactly why we're going to get together is I want to learn exactly what you're looking for in a house. And we're also going to talk about the market and what to expect and how we're going to work together to accomplish that goal and then tie it back to their motivation, right? With sellers, they can tend to start to tell you all about the house and all the improvements. And that's exactly why I should come by the house and take a preview. So when they start to get off your script, go back to that's exactly why we should meet. Because it is. It is.
It is. Yeah.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Like whatever they're telling you is the purpose of the next step in the process.
Yeah.
It's a system, it's a process. And if you follow it, you will be more efficient. Follow the script, LP mama.
It's also a really bad way to exactly get off of the system of the way that you do things, right? Well, if you just sat on the phone with a buyer for 45 minutes and they told you everything that they wanted and you were talking about school zones and or all of those things, and it's like, well, why do I have to come into and sit? We just had a 45-minute conversation. Can't we just go see these houses? And now you're showing people how, and they're not pre-approved yet, and blah blah blah, and everything is off track.
Can I just say, and we'll probably end up running a little bit over here because I'm about to say something that might take a minute, but I have a process that I follow, and it may not be the most convenient for other people. And so sometimes I think in an effort to be like more convenient for the consumer, we cut out some of the most important parts of the experience. And so sometimes I think about that and I think like, how can I make this easier? It is kind of inconvenient to have to drive to my office to meet with me about buying a home why not just go to the house? And then when it comes to a seller, I go to their house. So that's easier for them, but they still have to dedicate time for me to be there. Wouldn't it be easier for them to just tell me about the house and send me some photos and then me tell them how much I'm going to list it for? And they say, okay, that sounds good. But that's not what makes the experience 5-star, in my opinion. Like, I've had people say after a buyer consultation, like, wow, no one has ever taken that much time to understand what's important to us. I just elevated the experience. Was it slightly inconvenient for them to get there? Yes. But the experience now is far better than what they've ever had before. And we haven't even gotten started.
Yeah.
So just remember that efficiency, like, would it be easier for me to just have a call and then go show them a house? Yes. Like, that would be more efficient, but it's not more effective in the long term. You want to attract people in the future to send you referrals, provide the 5-star experience on the front end to their friends and family. Mm-hmm. So these things are not like, just do it faster.
And not just that, but you're building the house out of stone instead of building it out of straw. When you just ran over and showed them the property, you're not building, like what you said that they said that you would have a buyer who says nobody's ever spent the time to whatever. What does that mean? Well, you're building trust, right? So 6 weeks from now, when you're under contract, and you're having a conversation with them about the inspections, they're going to be 9 times out of 10 more willing to listen to your advice because you've earned the trust versus you just running around, opening a door for them, writing up an offer. They don't know you.
Yeah,
right?
I think you're right. Like, the upfront work that you'll do will actually help you
save you time.
Save time for both you and for them, because it's expectation setting, it's preparing them, it's all the things that you're going to go into. And so while it might feel more convenient to just do
at that second,
it's not. And long term, you're actually being less effective. And so that's why I wanted to bring up the effectiveness part at the beginning, is because when we talk about improving your speed, you do need to do that. You can fit more into the day if you do things faster, and you should want to get better at how to have faster conversations and because why? Get to the point faster. People want that on the consumer side too, by the way. So not just with lead calls, we're talking about conversations about offers and making decisions. Like, people want you to give them a few recommendation or a few pieces of advice and a recommendation. They want you to be succinct with it. And so you do want to improve your dialogue so that you can have faster, faster conversations, but don't do it if it sacrifices the effectiveness of the entire process, is I guess all I was saying there.
Yeah, it's good.
Make it simple. Your best move that you can use, not a grind. It's a tip that saves you time. Your best move.
All right, it's time for this week's best move. One simple, smart thing to focus on this week. Not a giant to-do list, not something that takes hours, just one move that actually helps move your business forward. And today, tighten your what do you do answer. You'll sound confident, clear, and memorable.
That's like the elevator pitch.
Yes.
When I got into real estate, that's how I learned it, because I'm old.
Yeah.
And they were like, you got to have an elevator pitch, like, which just means how can you describe, if somebody asks you the question, well, what do you do for a living? How can you describe it quickly, to the point, so efficient, but also an effective message of who you are and what you do differently.
Different than other people.
If you just say, I'm a real estate agent, congratulations, there's 23,000 of you in Central Florida. Like, no big deal. Cool. Moving on. I won't remember who you are.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. So work on that aspect of it. Write it down. What makes you different than the person sitting in the cubicle next to you at your office? How you like really dial it in on what it is, and how do you say it in a minute?
Not even a minute. That's the whole part about the elevator is like, how fast is an elevator? You should be able to explain what you do differently in that amount of time, because that's the attention span of of the American people.
That's true.
Small wins. Small wins. Small wins. Small wins. Small wins. Small wins.
Small win, Kathryn.
My small win is, so I did go to family reunion. It was in Atlanta, and I'm not a big flyer. I don't fly that often. I force myself to go to these conferences so that I can get on a plane. I also like to learn, but I was really proud of myself because the trip up, I was the most calm I've ever been on a plane, and it helped that it was a short flight and it was relatively smooth and stuff. But I work on that because I obviously I love to travel and I want us to be able to go to further places, but I didn't grow up on planes. And so it's a scary thing. And so I've been slowly improving my ability to be calm and relaxed and refocus my mind. And this trip was the smoothest. My heart was not racing. Usually it's pounding. I have my Fitbit on and it's just way higher than it should be. And I was just smooth and calm the whole way. And that was nice. That's a small win.
Both ways.
Both ways.
There
Yeah.
and back.
I think I was a little bit more nervous on the way back. And I don't know why. I think it was more just excitement. We talked
To
about
see me?
Yeah, I wanted to get home. And we talk about that. And it's true. The line between this fear and anxiety and excitement is,
where is it? Yeah,
it's
blurs.
really comes out of the same place.
Yeah.
And so I might have just been excited, but I felt a little bit more nervous. However, my heart rate was still normal. I wasn't my body wasn't feeling the effects. And usually it's so much a part of the experience that my entire body is clenched up and all of that. And I wasn't having that external reaction. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And then my small win is Kat was out of town for 4 days. So I got to just kind of clean and do the stuff around here. But I did, for those who want to, you guys go to our YouTube channel and stuff. And our Seeking the Best song is up there on our lead page. And I made a little video to go with it, with a bunch of footage and
It's fun.
cut it all together and
It's
everything.
a music video.
It's a music video of our song. So go check that out. That was a fun thing that I got to just, sit around and mess around for a few days and put something together, and haven't done it in a while, and it was fun. So go to the YouTube channel and check it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey guys, for episode extras like the candy bag, ask us some questions or anything else we mentioned on today's episode, you can find it all at onseekingthebest.com. And for Kat and myself, thanks for listening, and we'll figure this all out next week.
Bye.
Fall down, get back up, keep on reaching, don't give up. Step by step, nothing less. This is how I seek the best.
This has been a Think, Live, Be production.